Hey everybody, we're going to be talking about yourself and raising your brand right here. Okay, you already know that I like to combine sports and business together. So this is for those people that want to talk about raising their income in an inflated world right here. So we're going to revisit Michael Johnson talking about the new track and field league, even though some of the articles were talking negatively about him. We're going to talk about that here. And you're watching Head and Shoulders ATR, where we cover athletes, performances, and otherwise, this being otherwise, that are head and shoulders above the rest. And this is Nick, and we're going to be presenting this today. Okay, well, I am Nick, not this is. So, Michael Johnson secures funds for new track league. Why is this important? Well, it's important because now this is putting entrepreneurship in black hands. Many of these sports leagues are white owned, white run, and white managed. So therefore, a lot of the money goes into their hands and you're just getting chipped away at. Last week, and matter of fact, I'll bring it up now about how much money is in just the sports arena in general. All right, here's the page right here. And we've been given this by Janique Linder, one of the our editorial process. So written and summarized by this person here. So it says running participation in the United States is up basically to 49.2 million people. Okay, we're going to go past that. The value of the global running footwear market in 2020 was $17.24 billion. But here is the thing. All right, here is the thing. In 2020, American consumers spent around 22.1 billion US dollars on athletic footwear. Okay? Athletic footwear. Now, I would think track and field would be able to also sell and make money off of treadmills. So, revenue from treadmills is 1.3 billion in the US. Okay? The global sports apparel, I know this isn't just US, I'm switching off between both, but this is the data that we have here, is $181 billion in 2019. Now, remember, a huge chunk of the market is in the United States. Another big chunk is in China. So let's just say half of that, that's 90.5 billion. Adding that to 22, we got about 112.6 billion. $112.6 billion right there just in this market. When Michael Johnson has this league, this is a fantastic thing here. Let me switch off of this window very quickly so I can go over back to Michael Johnson. We're going to talk about Noah Lyles, Sidney McLaughlin, and how this translates to the rest of us. All right. So Michael Johnson, it says Olympic champion Michael Johnson has secured more than 30 million. Okay, didn't want to click that. More than $30 million from investors and strategic partners for a track league he plans to launch next year. Winners Alliance, the for-profit arm of Professional Tennis Players Association, so we got tennis over here invested in, was the lead investor and will be the league's operating partner. Okay, great. So Johnson is doing this. He's doing that. We're going to ignore all of the things that they may have said negatively there. They said the league, which has not yet announced a name, also signed 2 circles and SRK strategies. Now, what wound up happening is Sidney McLaughlin-Levrone, she said that she would like to see what would happen from the league. She's not sure about it yet and everything like that, but there's definitely more money. And she's talked about how we, as in the athletes in the sport itself, doesn't do a good enough job marketing. Okay? Marketing themselves. What does the word marketing mean? It just means awareness. You know, just like I didn't post up videos here, viewership goes down. When I was posting up, I'm hitting and punching above my weight. I know how to do that frequently. And then when you disappear on people, they lose trust. So then therefore, they don't want to associate with that. When something gets stale, they also say we don't want to associate with that. Now, what black people usually bring, specifically those in America, but sometimes in other places, what they bring to the sport is some kind of energy, some kind of uniqueness, some kind of innovation to that sport. Basketball was nothing until black people started playing and dominating, and then now people want to watch it. It becomes a premier sport. It was not a premier sport before that. NFL, the same thing. It was not a premier sport. And golf is suffering. Golf suffered directly when they tarnished Tiger Woods. As soon as they start going in for some infidelity. How many other people How many other athletes have cheated on their significant other and they didn't go in? They were waiting because they even kept trying to say, Tiger Woods, well, he's not good enough. That's how they always do. Now, on another video, I'm going to point out how some of the non-black athletes in the sport right now are getting titles. All y'all got to do is search a certain American sprinter, and you're going to see from NBC, not this time with World Athletics, NBC Sports said blank won another title. All it was a 200 meter regular track meet. There's no title on the line, but they hyped her up as she won, quote, another title. See, these little small things are here to raise up the brand of others and lower the brand of the people that is trying to lower the brand of. If there was somebody close enough to be a danger to Dina Asher Smith and she was not black, they would have hyped her to all get out. People think Dina Asher Smith is hyped up. Nah, that's not really hype. That's not really hype. They're holding on to who they can hold on. Mo Farah, the same thing. But if there was somebody, just anybody, even remotely close, I'm telling you, the machine would have been going. You would have think they were the second coming of Jesus and everything else like that. Now, with that being said, let's look here. Why am I bringing this up and how can they raise their brand value? How can you raise your brand value? I'm glad you asked. Let me put this on the screen, take this down, and we're going to go to my handy dandy blackboard. We're going to go to a blackboard right here. The reason why I'm going to a blackboard is because we want to be able to put this information out here. Let's say that this is the market for, okay, I don't know why it glitched up like that, but let's say that this is the market. I don't know. It doesn't want to do a circle. Guys, this is the market for the footwear and apparel. So the clothing and the feets. Okay, you got the feet taken care of and you got the clothes on your back. And this was, what did we say? We said 2.6 right there. I can't really write it better than that because of how the limitation of this website that I'm using, but that's okay. We got 100. We're going to make it even easier. 112 billion with a big B dollars right there. That's the global market right there. That includes, or that's the USA market right there. Okay, we're going to focus on the USA, but you can extrapolate this to the island nations nearby because that's very close by. You should be able to sell up to the US. We're going to also use this as an example of what you can do in other countries. All right, now let's take that this is Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone. Let's take that this is Noah Lyles. Okay, we're going to use them. One man, one woman, one woman, one man. Okay, now we're going to extrapolate this to anybody else. Now they got their own personal value and their own brand as it is now. So they got their money here. Let's just assume that the small, starting to look like an orange actually, small green is what they're actually getting. Out of all of this, they're only getting that tiny sliver. And of course, that's what's going to happen. All right. This is remember, they are placeholders for you and I. Now, with Noah Lyles and Sydney McLaughlin, this is what they can do. Traditionally, the track athletes, when they're getting close to retire, and what many of the athletes have done beforehand has been to create this. We're going to do a white box over here. They're going to say, hey, I've seen many hurdlers do this. The female hurdlers on IG, I see this a lot. So we got a fitness brand right here. So that's one. They may have a book. Mona Lee, I think, released a book. We have also, in the case of Michael Johnson, he's been doing some motivational speaking gigs. If you go to his website, he has the booking gigs for motivational speaking. We got TV speaking gigs and everything like that. Now, these are all kind of not connected and they're kind of disjointed. They can go whichever way. All right. So that's fitness for F. You got the motivational speaking. You got the announcing jobs. And then you got the, dang, I forgot because I had it on the top of my head, but you guys know what I just said there. Dang, I forgot. What I forget? Because there's so many that they're doing. The books. There we go. So we got the books, and they're going to tell about their experience. Well, let's do it a different way. Let's see how we're going to maximize even some of this money so that it can pump that up. All right, let's take books, the basic level of the books. We're going to make that and bring it right here. So we're going to change this. Right now it's going to be orange because it's tentative. Now, they're doing a documentary. That right there, fantastic. They're already knowing that in order to have track and field be taken seriously, they got to build up hype. They got a sprint documentary right now. They're hyping it up to another level because the same way that Alberto Salazar electrified the nation in some ways, and to get people to really go to the marathon and really go out, quote, jogging with his book. They're doing it through a documentary because that's what they know can build some hype. That's good. However it is when it's released, that's how it is. Now, here's a book. Now, how do we get some of that money that's here down here? Good question. What you can do is the book can, instead of talking about the track and field experience, while you are an active athlete, you speak about track and field, but also other opportunities that are out there. See, a person is using an athlete, a speaker, or somebody else as a pathway. Like when you listen to music, somebody might curse you out and call you a B, call you a 304, call you all types of names, but you aren't necessarily picking it up because you are picturing yourself as something different. But a regular person down the street call you the same thing, you get offended, right? But they're actually confidently, with aggression, calling you that in a song, or in a smooth way. They're calling you that in a song, and you let it slide. Now, what's happening is you're putting yourself in the other person's shoes in such a way, or you just like how that kind of turns you on or whatever, in whichever case, whatever, depending on the song. But you're putting yourself in the other person's shoes. So what Noah Lyles and Sydney McLaughlin can do is they put themselves in the other person's shoes. They talk about the trials and tribulations, which I would assume is going to be in that documentary. They talk about the trials and tribulations as far as what they are going through, how they make it to the next level, how they go into negotiations. See, negotiations can be used as far as speaking to business owners. How come you can't write a book that's geared toward business owners, that's geared toward multi-level marketers, that is geared toward those people that are serious and ready to take it to the next level? So first of all, we geared this, we have now monetized this to another level where we gear this book, instead of just about track and field in the biography of self. Now we gear it like the Michael Jordan, the Michael Jordan documentary, where it was like he was larger than life. He could do that now because he's at legend status, The Last Dance and everything. But if you do it here, let's do it this way. You can have, if you do it that way, you can have a course. They have a course that they now fed into. These could be talking to those business owners while they are still professional athletes, by the way. So when they retire, they're already having that market geared up and prepped. Or they're talking up to highly motivated individuals that want to take themselves to the next level. Because one thing I do know is people like winners. It don't matter where the winner is, they like winners. They can keep associating themselves with positive attributes. And of course, most people are going to be there for the entertainment. But why don't you, while you have the eyes, have the audience, start speaking about things that you could do when you're retired, but instead you got their attention now. They're on your IG. You start mixing it in, mixing your performances to a metaphor for how other people can do. Here's an example. I'm going to show you guys through a clear example through this chart. Here's time on the bottom, and at the top is money. All right. It's easier to make a lot of money in a short period of time than it is to make a little bit of money over a long period of time. All right. Let's say that you get, what is it? $1 million over 40 years. How much is that? That's 25,000 per year. You are not rich. You get it in 1 year and you got $1 million. You've done 40 times better than the other person. Also, over that 40 years, you got to pay 40 years of bills, 40 years of medical expenses, 40 years of who knows what's happening, all of the splurges you want to do. You've now made it in 1 year. It's easier to make it in 1 year. Now, the only assumption is, now, how does this relate to track and field? I'm doing the reverse now. It's easier to get faster by leaps and bounds than it is to get faster by tenths and hundredths of a second. Usually when you see somebody hit a personal best, they do huge amounts off of their time. Look at Asafa Powell when he started coaching with Coach Francis and his time dropped drastically. How much did it drop? Drastically. Sydney McLaughlin with Bobby Kersey dropped drastically. And now she's looking like she could be on another level as far as the world record, even in the 400. Obviously, that's very early to say now, but she is looking so good, so smooth. And a season opening, and even if it's not season opener, running near that time, even in her injured season. Look at Dalilah Muhammad. She didn't just break the world record by a small amount. She smashed it the first time, smashed it the second time, and then Sydney McLaughlin now taking over, smash and smash and smash and smash, just going at it, hammering at the records. It's easier to do it at that large amount than it is if you say, well, I'm just looking to get whatever I can, that little small tenth or hundredth of a second off of that. Yeah, you might have to do it because you cannot predict the time, but that's just how money works. You assume that it's harder, that the person that's doing $25,000 per year, or the person that does $1 million, is working harder than the one that did 25,000 per year. But actually, the one that's making $1 million per year has to, by definition, work easier than the one making $25,000 per year. Why? Because it's leverage. Just like how these shoes are leveraging the athlete to be at certain angles and also giving them a spring back with the carbon fiber that will allow them to go leaps and bounds. Because remember, Karsten Warholm was not using the full carbon plates at first. Now he's starting to, he said, I'm the biggest hypocrite. That's what he said now. He got injured. Now he's the biggest hypocrite. And I even said it in 2021. I said, if he starts to get older, and he starts to get slower, in this case, I guess coming back from injury, this gives him a boost. Now, I said he is going to go and start using more and more carbon plates in his shoes, which will give him the appearance of going faster. That means his talent was already bigger. His ability was already bigger than everybody else. And imagine when he should be slowing down, he's speeding up. Maybe that happened with Shelly Ann. Remember, she started to go at 10-7 over and over, and then she broke it. This is how money works. So they have a book, a course. Okay, now what does the course lead into, you may ask? Well, the course can lead into whatever their other thing is. Now, remember up there, it was fitness. We had announcing. We got a book. And we got motivational speaking, which are many of the common things that the athletes are trying to do. They try to sell clothes and everything too, right? Now, you might not understand, how is this coming from that 122 billion? You're still not getting how that goes. I'll get into that just a second. Maybe I'll do that in a part 2. So we got a book and we got a course. The book leads into the course, because if they're getting this out of a book, there may be things that are better said to people, and people learn in different ways. They're like, man, if I learned this much and I applied this here, and all I had to do was pay $20, $50, $60 for a book, now I can buy their course at $200, $300, $400, $1,000, $2,000, and let me see what happens. Oh, wow, that's that much? Now you can buy, what is this, one-on-one time with them. So now we go to one-on-one time, because if they're talking about, let's say, business advice to people, they could do one-on-one booking sessions. And a one-on-one might cost somebody $20, $40, $50,000. And they want to speak to specifically sports executives, because if they're able to get this would really work. If they're able to get a large crowd and they get a large crowd participation, they could talk to the sports executives and start guiding them, which I would charge much more than 20 or 40,000, by the way, if I'm talking to those executives that are all over the industry. Look, that you getting a $500,000 or more. All right. But if you are talking to these sports executives, let's still use that example, or executives in industry, and you're talking to them and saying, hey, I got this information. I can explode what you're doing. I used it for myself because this is what this time is here. You're doing your good time. All you got to do is take a little bit of extra 5-15 minutes out of your stream, and you're just slowly using and weaving the narrative in. You see, this purple line is the business. The green is the track and field here. And you guys know I've normally done it in the past. And sometimes I have videos like this that straight talk only business, right? But if Noah Lyles, Sydney McLaughlin, they play their cards correctly, they have their performances to fall back on. They got absolutely nothing to lose to start talking about business. Or Sydney McLaughlin start talking about track and field and God, talking about track and field and God and business, track and field and God and fitness. You're one of the people that talk about God and fitness and you're a sports Olympian. Now people are getting there, and you say, hey, God blesses thee who has his own, right? And then somehow you tie that in to something else. Faith without works is dead. If I did not work hard off of the gift that God gave me, because he said, be fruitful, which means I have the seed and potential inside of me, and multiply. I work hard so that I can multiply my greatness and let it out there so that I have dominion. Well, I wouldn't have been able to run that 48.75, 48.74, and potentially even faster if all I did is say, well, I got faith that I can run faster, but I didn't do the work in practice. Just like you could do the work out there, you can lose that gut. You can stay fit. You can get even stronger, because it wouldn't be lose the gut. It would be she would be talking to people that are already fit. That's how you do it. So you could either have a one-on-one or you could have a group live course or something like that. Now, where's this other thing? Now, how does this go into play? Now, again, you could be a representative for one of these companies, or better yet, again, you could be training the shoe companies on how they can expand in different markets. You could be training the soccer brands, because what you're doing is what you do, you're just the vehicle there in which they're coming to you first, not track and field. And many of these athletes, they're really pumping themselves up as far as a sports identity. And it's a little bit easier to do that in track and field than it is in other sports, actually, because track and field is so disjointed right now. You can actually have a crowd of your own and hoard them. And that means, unfortunately, for the rest of track and field, as the sport itself, or the leagues that they have, USATF, World Athletics, all of that, well, that means when you go, the crowd goes. But that means you have more bully power. You can keep the crowd there because they're coming to you first, not the sport. If they come to you first and not the sport, what happens is now you have command. I'm going to put a C right there. You have crowd command, crowd control. They come to you, you demand higher sponsorship deals. Think about Usain Bolt getting $10 million per year guaranteed for the rest of his life. That's part of that $112 billion that are there. That's a bigger amount than many other athletes, even in other sports, tennis and NFL and things like that. You got a lifetime deal as Usain Bolt. Who says other people can't do the same or higher? Usain Bolt may have been faster. That doesn't guarantee that the impact that someone or like Noah Lyles, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, and others could have on the sport can't be higher. This is just part of it today. I just wanted to give you a corollary that making more money in a shorter period of time, like $1 million in a year, is actually harder. It's actually easier than a longer time, like in 40 years. But also, the same thing goes to apply. It's easier to make $1 million in a month than it is to make $1 million in a year. Now, you would think you need more effort. Not necessarily. You got all of these sprinters. Here's the last thing I promise. You got all of these sprinters that are doing such a high volume, when the thing is they needed to decrease their volume, use the leverage of their body. It's called rest. Do higher intensity on what they're doing when they do get out on the track. Higher intensity, cross sections, lower volume equals faster times. And in this case, time goes down, but performances go up. Instead of the high volume to get to running the same or similar times, you don't need to do the high volume. It's the right work to get the goal that you're going after. And even if you don't get to that goal right there, you can do the steps, because at the end of the day, these athletes, it's me versus me when I go out there on the line. That's what the athletes can be and maybe should be thinking. Obviously, at different levels, they got their own goals. But many of the athletes, it's only one winner. Oh, it looks like I got a face up here, like a ghost. It's only one winner. So it's a me versus me game. If you're not up there winning, what am I doing today to better what I did the last time? Can I better my performance personally? Can I make the team this time? Can I do this or that? And if I can do that, it's the same thing in their work ethic, what they're doing. The book is always there. They can have a book right now. It doesn't take that long to write a book. It doesn't take that long to write a book, by the way. Yeah, that could be done in a few days. A book to a course to a group, or a one-on-one. That means the lives there, right? The people that want to support them, people got Patreons and stuff, but they can also be giving them practical business and life advice now. Why is it a thing that Noah Lyles, Sydney McLaughlin-Levrone, Tara Davis Woodle, Sha'Carri Richardson cannot give practical working advice to people? Particularly if it works, they say, hey, here's how you can get yourself up to a 6-figure income. Here's how you could do this. Go and get your truck driver's license. Do this, do this, do this. 2 years. Now you upgraded yourself. You got enough experience. Now that you got the license, you got the experience here. Now you go and ask for a raise. Here's how you get your credit up. You get this credit card, do X, Y, and Z for the next 6 months. And then you raise yourself. Now you get a second credit card, a third, a fourth, a fifth, a sixth, a seventh, and eighth. You use the credit cards like this, not like the masses. What's stopping them from doing that? I do it myself. I am doing it myself. I got one section where I'll just do this. And when I said last thing, I promise this is still part of the last thing. And then here, and then here, and then we got one more box over here. So I got something that is $30 per month. And that is for the people that are just started but highly motivated, and they're trying to level up and they're trying to get to the next level. Then when I get to 1,000 subscribers on that one particular channel, we got something that will actually be selling between it's like 500. Well, there's two. It's $30 and 100. There's like 500 or something. Or the early birds they got, which helps me create a book. That's an offshoot of that. And the book would be somewhere between $20 and $40. Okay, but that's 500. Early bird is 200 or 300. So that'll be like a course that leads up to this mid section that I don't have, that leads up to this, which is 40,000. That's $40,000 for 2 hours. So I got that already leading up on another type of platform, another type of way to go. How come they can't do that, and how come you can't do that that's listening to this video? Thank you guys for watching. This has been Head and Shoulders, and I think I'm going to continue doing these a lot more. This is Head and Shoulders ATR, where we cover athletes, performances, and otherwise that are head and shoulders above the rest. And for the people that like the business stuff, let me know if you want to see more content like this. I think I'm just going to blend it into the videos anyway. But if you guys want me to do specific ones that are just focusing on this, let me know, because I will create that for the people that like that. Catch you guys on the next one.